Hello, everyone, and welcome to An Hour with Dave, a straight shooting talk show that doesn't hold anything back. You either love the show, hate the show, love me, hate me, doesn't matter, but it's the show you want to watch. 1 Hour with Dave. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to one more, as the announcement said, Hour with Dave. Today we have a very, very interesting topic. It's going to relate to and talk about Hispanics in the prison system. How do they get commutations? How do they get help in any source? I mean, there is such a racial differences and injustice when it comes to Hispanics in prison, in the prison system, that is phenomenal. And you're going to get to meet a guest of mine, Francisco Mojica, is going to be talking about this, and we're going to give you his story in a few. But I need everybody to pay attention and be courteous and grab whatever you have, because when we start letting you know of the injustice that's going on, it's going to make you wonder about how long are we going to keep this up as Hispanics in this, not only in this city itself or in Pennsylvania, but across the country. Before we get into all that, don't forget, guys, you have to pay attention to what's happening out here with your taxes. Gasoline is going up. I'm sure most of you that received your $1,400 stimulus checks already went out and bought your flat screen TVs or your new cell phones. But those of you who were smart enough to take that money and buy food and pay your bills, congratulations. You're probably far and few between. But I hope that everybody was smart and paid attention. There's a lot going on, the educational system, taxes, city opening up and closing and opening up, guidelines changing from day to day. These are things that you really, really, really want to be alerted to. There is also a alert that we need to be aware of that, goes dear to my heart. There's an Amber Alert. A red Chevy Malibu, tinted windows, PA registered license, LMD 3353. Again, it's an Amber Alert here in Philadelphia, and it's for a red Chevy Malibu, tinted windows, license plate number LMD 3353. This, if you see it, guys, don't try to be Superman and jump in and out of this vehicle, but contact the police and let them know where you see it at. Because remember, this is very important, and it's something that, let me tell you, we should all be respecting and be thinking about when it comes to these kids and what's happening on the Amber Alert. With that said, I'm going to introduce to you now Francisco Mojica, and I'm not making this up. That's really his name. Okay, I'm not making it up. It's really his name. Francisco has a very important topic that we need to talk about. And I always say that none of us are perfect. I know I'm not. I don't walk on water. We all make mistakes. But there's an injustice happening to us here in Philadelphia and in Pennsylvania when it comes to commutations or pardons, whichever way you want to look at it, with the Hispanic population in this city. Okay? There is a huge injustice. So let's get a little bit into what's happening. Welcome, Mojica. How are you?
How you doing? I'm okay. I'm feeling good that I have this opportunity. Governor Tom Wolf, he signed my paper after I filed a commutation. Mr. Featherman, he fight real hard trying to get me out here. And the rest of the commutation board, because they were like in my favor, and I really appreciate and thanks them for pushing for my commutation process.
Now, we can get into some of the details. Now, you served what, 30 years?
I served 30 years in prison.
The 30 years, was that your time that you were there? Actually, 30 years inside the prison system.
I went to
What was your sentence for?
Yes.
I mean, how long?
Well, I was supposed to serve life, die in prison.
Okay.
I went to prison in 1991, and I just got commuted, but my natural sentence was life in prison without the possibility of parole.
Wow.
You know, so I was supposed to die in prison.
And what did you go to prison for?
I went to prison for being with somebody that committed a murder, which they call felony murder.
Okay.
The other person was the trigger man. I was with him, but in my case was a little bit different because I didn't even saw the person that died or was murdered on my case. I never saw him alive or dead.
So the other person committed the crime. You were according to them, a participant in the
Right.
crime itself.
Right. They call that an accomplice.
So how much time did he get?
Well, he got 12 to 24.
Okay, let me see if I get this right. He got 12 to 24 and he was the trigger man.
Yes.
You were not the trigger man.
No.
You were not in the room when he got shot.
No.
You had not had a weapon. Did you have a weapon
No.
at that time? So you had nothing. And you got life without parole.
Right.
And he got
12 to 24.
12 to 24. Did he make a deal?
Well, I think he took the fifth, which it means that he ain't saying nothing. You do what you want to do with me. Me thinking that I was innocent, you know, I said the truth. I said what happened, you know, and by saying that, I end up in prison for the rest of my life.
Wow. Okay, so he takes the fifth. You don't know if he actually took a deal.
Right.
You were not in the room. You had nothing. This was a robbery attempt.
Right.
Okay, and we all get to make mistakes in our lives.
Yes.
And regrettably,
it was not a robbery. It was a burglary.
burglary.
Right.
Okay, a burglary that you went in for. Did he carry the gun in with him when he went in, or
No.
he got it at the site?
He got it at the site.
At the site.
Right.
Okay. And that was a legally registered gun, or just somebody that was you went in to do a burglary on?
Yeah, it was. It belongs to the owner because the owner gave it to him. I don't know what happened up there, but the owner gave it to him.
Right.
And while they were talking in there, I was inside the other apartment, so I really don't know what happened outside. But that's how it ended up. The owner shot him, and he shot him back with his own gun.
Oh God. Okay, so we got to really pay attention to this, everyone, because here's a man that wasn't in the room. He's not proclaiming to be innocent with anything.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to an hour a day,
But he wasn't in the room, wasn't a trigger man, wasn't even in the same apartment that the incident happened on. Had nothing to see, nothing to say. He didn't know, and winds up with 30 years to life. So they actually was putting him away for the rest of his life without chances of parole, while the actual person that committed the crime
12 to 24.
So did he serve the 12 to 24?
He's maxed.
He maxed out
Right.
for the 24,
Yep.
and now he has nothing to answer to.
And I got a life parole.
And you got a life parole.
Yep.
Wow. So even so in the 50-year history, everyone, of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, 50-year history, commutations came in and came out, and Hispanics, that I believe is about 30% or so of the number of people in prison. We don't even have 1% of them commutations, because we only had 2 people who ever in this city, in this state, got any kind of commutations for a crime. We can't even say a 1%. Think about that. We all make mistakes. Nobody wanted anybody to die. Certainly not Francisco. They went in with one intention. Stuff went wrong. But not even 1% of the people that get early parole, that get exonerated or whatever they want, a commutation, not even 1% of it goes to Hispanics. That's a scary situation. That's an injustice. I keep telling you Latinos out here, you better start paying damn attention. You're being walked all over. And when it comes to jobs, when it comes to benefits, when it comes to education, when it comes to everything, and look at the injustice here in the criminal system. What's your course now? Let's just go. What do you have? You have parole for life, right?
Parole for life.
So if you get caught spitting on the street and they want to bust your, I can't say what I want to say, they want to bust your chops.
Go back to prison.
You go back to prison just for spitting in the street,
Yep.
throwing chewing gum out.
Yep.
Yeah. Or, I mean, think about it. The man is out, but no matter what, for the rest of his life, has to look over his shoulder. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That when you were in there, did they offer you any? Well, they didn't offer you any benefits, a lot of trainings and stuff, because they didn't intend for you to come out.
No.
And so now that you're out, you got a lot to catch up on.
Yes, I do.
And do you have any idea where you're going, what you need to do, education or training, anything to help you move forward?
No, I was just telling the technician that I'm backed up 30 years in technology. When I came out here, I didn't even know how to turn the computer on. I got a phone, I still don't know how to answer it. Sometimes I'm in a conversation with somebody else called, I don't know what to do. You know, sometimes I hang the other person because I don't know how to pick up the phone call.
Well, don't feel too bad like that. 'Cause sometimes I don't even know what I'm doing. Okay, so that, yeah, you got 30 years to catch up on.
Yeah.
And regrettably, listen, everybody out there, we need to do something about the prison systems and the injustice with Hispanics. It's a serious issue. We have a race coming up for DA that we need to understand as a Hispanic group. What are they going to do? Are they going to talk? Are they going to give us a fair shake? You know, Wolf gave you the opportunity, right?
Yeah.
So Wolf, when he did this, was it a long process?
Yes, it was a long process. I started in 2003. I was denied the first time. I was denied the second time, and they gave it to me in the third time.
Okay, third time.
So I started 2003. I started doing my commutation process. It takes like 3 years for one.
Let me ask you this. You had help in there to do the paperwork, right?
Did I have what?
Help inside the prison system to do the
Oh,
paperwork?
yes, of course.
From other inmates?
Yes,
Correct?
I needed the help.
How many of them inmates, or was it a Hispanic group? Were you involved in a Hispanic group that were trying to put papers through, or?
Yeah, I was involved with LACEO, which is called a Latin American Culture Exchange Organization. I was involved with that organization. And that organization, that's what we did. We trained people to file for the application of commutation.
Okay.
But not everybody get it, just like you said in the beginning.
So out of the group that you were with in prison with, can you say they were just in the block you were in? Was that at least 100 people in there or less? 30 people?
Yeah, I could say around 100 people.
100
Yeah.
Hispanics.
Yes.
And out of the 100 Hispanics, it took you 3 times just to get your paperwork
Right.
accepted
Right.
and your commutation.
Right.
Wow. We're going to take an immediate break for 1 minute. And when we come back, we're going to keep talking and get a little bit into how long it takes and what's happening, so you guys can see the injustice that's happening with the Hispanic population. So grab your cup of coffees, and we're coming back. This is hot. Hello, everyone, and welcome to An Hour with Dave, a straight shooting talk show that doesn't hold anything back. You either love the show, hate the show, love me, hate me, doesn't matter, but it's the show you want to watch. 1 Hour with Dave. Back, everybody, and I know that people are going to have a lot of questions out there, but we need to get to understanding and get the bigger picture here of what's happening. Francisco, I am so glad that you had the help
Right.
and that you had the fortitude to actually keep fighting for this. And now to have the courage to come on this radio show and on Usula Media to express what happened to you. Because we here at my show talk all the time about the injustice for Hispanics. And before this goes any further, everybody, listen, my guest and me, our comments are ours. So this is not to be attacking Usula in any way. This is my show, my comments, not necessarily those of Usula, but Usula does stand up for the rights of everybody, especially Hispanics. Let's clear that up real quick. When you process this paper, is it for free?
When I started, it was not, because you have to pay $25 just for the paperwork. Then you have to pay for every copy that you make, because you have to make a copy of everything, all your certificates, all your diplomas, all the programs that you took. So you have to get copies of that process and send it to them. My package was like 4 inches tall. So I paid like $30 on that alone, besides the price of the $25 that I have to pay for filing. Then I have to pay to get my criminal record, my federal criminal record. I have to get all these records. Even if you don't have them, you have to get them, because you have to show them that your record is clean. Like in my case, I didn't have no other case. This was my only case in my life. So I didn't have no other cases before.
So this is your first and only crime.
Right.
And in the first and only crime, for someone that was not in a room, in another part of the building, had nothing to do with the shooting, had nothing to do, you wound up with a 30-year to life
Yes.
sentence.
Yes.
And now, how did you get the money together for this? Is it donations? Is it families? Did you get the work in there to make the money? How did you get the fees? Because obviously $25 in prison is like $25,000.
Yes, and you're right.
Because it takes a lot.
And you're right, that's true. I was blessed to have a wife, and she waited for me all this time, Even though when I went to prison, I told her, look, go your own way. She said, no, I didn't make no promise to you. I made a promise to God, and I'm going to wait for you. And she was by my side, and she stayed there until the end. Until this day, now we're together, I mean, we're not together completely either, because that's another problem that I got. Even though I got commuted, I still can't stay with her because she lives in Section 8, and Section 8 does not allow me to stay with her in her house. So now I rent an apartment that costs me $800 for me to go and stay with her in that apartment every time I come home in a furlough.
Every time you come home in a what?
On a furlough. I'm in a halfway house. I'm not free completely.
Oh, man. This is getting better. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at the hypocrisy of the damn system when it comes to Hispanics. So she's in a Section 8 house, so she can't give that up. You're renting a place just to be able to be with your wife, which is every man and woman's right to be together.
Right.
Okay? At the same time, how long are you in a halfway house?
Well,
is it you going to be in a halfway house for the rest of your life?
I have to stay there according to them, for a year.
Is that halfway house Hispanic?
Nope.
Oh, Jesus. Is it in North Philadelphia?
It's in North Philly. It's 407 on North 8th Street. It's called CCC number 2.
Okay, so I'm trying to grasp all of this. So you have to be there for a year.
Right.
And remembering that anything at all. What if they don't like you? If if somebody in the group that you're in the halfway house gets I want to say hair up, but I can't. Gets anything against you. They don't like your glasses. They don't like your shirt. They don't like, and you get into a tussle with them. So they can report you for anything and you're gone
Yeah, they're gonna send me right back.
without any shock.
No question.
How many
no
Hispanics
ifs,
are in
or
that
buts.
halfway house?
Right now one.
You.
No, we got another one besides me. So
Okay,
two.
so it's
Yeah,
two.
right.
And that halfway house is how long? How big?
It's probably like 20 people in there right now,
And
but it
there's-
can hold more.
So you had 100 inmates just in your block.
Well, no, I can't say that. It's like right now it's like 20 in the whole thing.
Uh-huh.
But I really don't know how many people hold. It probably hold I say from 30 to 40 people.
Okay, that's in the halfway house.
Right.
In the prison when you went
in
there,
the prison.
and the block that you went in had at least 100. So
Yes.
so we have to look at this. If we only had less than 1% of Hispanics who got commutations,
Right.
okay, how many commutations have been given out to other races
A lot.
that we know about?
The majority of the commutations been to other races before Latino because Latinos hasn't been commuted since 1965. It's only two Latinos that has been commuted. One was like 2 years ago. His name is Rodolfo Carrillo. He's part of my father's family. And I'm the second one. So basically, he's the first one on first degree, and I'm the first one on second degree since 1962.
Since 1962.
Right.
You know, this is ridiculous and unfair, and it should be unacceptable to every Hispanic out there, every Hispanic organization, any Hispanic lawyer. If you don't take this to heart, you're ridiculous. This is, it's just, I find this totally unacceptable. Let me ask you this. Since she's in Section 8, so there is nothing in the agreement that allows you to go back with her. She's in her own spot.
Yeah. Section 8 will not allow me to stay with her.
Because of your felon.
Right. So parole can approve me,
Okay,
cannot approve me to
all
stay
right.
with her.
And how do you, and then how is it that you're going to be employed? I mean, how long have you been out now?
2 months.
2 months. Are you
Right.
working already?
Well, I got half time.
Chappy.
20 hours a week.
Okay. 20 hours a week. Did the criminal system help you with that, or?
It's a program that is called Friends on 7 and Girard, and I'm working with them. They offered me a job. That was the first offer that I have, so I took it. You know.
Okay.
Yes.
And now, you got your commutation. Are you allowed to get any kind of a government job?
I don't know into what extent. I might be able to do maintenance for the governor, but I don't know what else I can do for the governor.
Because I believe when it comes to felons,
Yeah.
you can't get certain things.
Yeah,
You can't-
especially
you're not
when you
allowed.
got a felon.
So you have obstacle after obstacle after obstacle in front of you,
Yes, I do.
and a wife that would love to be with you.
Right. Like I say, I have to rent an apartment that costs me $800 to be able to be with my wife.
Wow, this doesn't make any kind of sense. That this is. I'm baffled that we're allowing this to happen right in front of our eyes, and that the criminal justice system, you know, and you know, I criticize Wolf a lot,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I got to give it to him. At least he gave you a break.
Yes, he did.
You know, I got to give him that,
Yeah.
because no matter what we looked at, he's the first one to do it.
Right.
or the second one, because
He's doing
somebody
pretty
else
good.
got it before.
Yeah.
So I gotta give him his dues right there.
Right.
He did a plus for us, but he's also opening up our eyes to what's happening. And he was the only one that could have given you any kind of uh, commutation.
Yeah.
You can't get it otherwise.
Yep. If I
It
don't,
has to come from the government, or can the president do it?
no, unless I'm a federal, and I'm not a federal case. I'm a state case. So it have to be by the governor.
By the governor.
Right. Mostly the majority of inmates in Pennsylvania, that's the only way that have license. That's the only way they can get out, by a commutation with the governor.
And then you have all the restrictions on top of that
Exactly.
before you even start.
Yep.
Are you able to get a driver's license?
That I did. I got my driver license.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you got your driver's license.
Right.
Can you own your own business?
I can own my own business, yes, if I was be able to do it.
Right.
Because like I came out here, like 30 years ago, I lost everything, my house, my car.
But you can open up a fruit stand.
Yes, I can.
Okay. All right. So the issue here is what has to be done to make things fair
Right.
for everyone. Because employment for Hispanics in this city is an issue, a big issue, and I know that I've said it over and over again. You go to City Hall and try to find the Hispanics that work there. Good luck. You have a state reps here who does not support what's happening. And you got someone in city council who does not support, because we have a lot of Hispanics that don't have jobs. You know, in the city department here, just the people that collect trash, now that you're out, if you're out every Tuesday, look around and count in your hand how many trash trucks you see collecting, and I'm sure that you can pick up a trash bag. Can you?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Definitely.
How many trash workers, city sanitation workers, are Hispanic? So you got to stay there for a year. You can't stay with your wife because she would have to lose her benefits. And you got to rent an apartment. Thank God for this halfway house that took you in.
Yeah.
That you have to be there for a year. Without any chance of getting that reduced, it has to be a year.
Well, I can't say, I'm not sure, because I'm a lifer.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how it's going to go in the future, you know.
But for sure, you know that you have to be at there at least a year.
Yeah.
And you've been out for how long now?
2 months.
2 months.
Right.
So you got 10 months before you can even leave there, and that doesn't mean your wife will be leaving anyway, because she still has her Section 8.
Right.
So no matter what you do, there's no clause in the Section 8 that says you can go back with your wife.
Yeah. The only way I can go back to with my wife is if I got my own house, and she'll move in with me, and then we can live together.
And she has to give up
She had to give up
the
Section 8.
benefits there.
Right.
So you, even though you got your commutations, you're still limited to what you can have.
Yes, and
To look forward to and do.
Right. I
For the
can't leave
rest of your
state.
life, actually.
Yes, I can't leave the state.
You can't leave the state.
I can't go to New Jersey.
For the rest of your life, you're
Yes,
here.
for the rest of my life.
And you have to answer to a parole officer?
I have to answer to parole. If I want to go to Puerto Rico, like right now, I have to go get my birth certificate.
Right.
I have to wait until I'll get the parole and ask them, can I go to Puerto Rico to get my birth certificate? And if they say no, then I don't have no birth certificate.
Wow. Okay, we're gonna cut into one more commercial, and we're gonna come back to continue this conversation with Francisco. And I'm sure that everyone out there has got to be appalled about what's happening, and how unfair things are. So let's cut into one more commercial. I'll see you in 30 seconds to a minute. Wow.
No te olvides de los chavos.
Welcome back, everyone. And again, you're on an hour with Dave, and this is an incredible gentleman that we have in front of us, Francisco Mojica, and what his life story is. And as you can see as we go along, how unfair the system is, because he did one thing in his life, not to make the outcome of what the crime that was committed, but one thing in his life, and it took 30 years off of him. And he, in a sense, did not commit the crime that he went in there for. Okay? So we need, now, Francisco, who helped you again to get all this done?
Well, we had a group with LASEO. LASEO, Latin American Cultural Exchange Organization.
Okay.
So LASEO brought like in 2002, somewhere around there. I don't remember exactly when it was, but they brought in Leslie Acosta. And Leslie Acosta started working with us. And after that, she continued coming and visiting us, helping us. And she was talking to other state reps and talking to the people on the compensation board, especially the victim advocates. She was talking to them.
Leslie
Acosta, exactly. And after that, things started loosening up, you know. So we had a good combination with Leslie Acosta, Tom Wolf, John Featherman, you know, all these people that we have in the board compensation right now, you know. Josh Shapiro, you know, Josh Shapiro is in too now, so I hope he continues doing what he's been doing, you know, because he's seeing the second degree felony murder. He know we ain't committed this crime, and the person that committed the crime has been going home, and the person that was doing what he's been doing. He's been staying in prison and sometimes dying in prison. So hopefully things continue going on with that situation.
Do you have any idea what it costs to have you in prison?
Well, I know that it costs over $100,000 to keep a 50-year-old person in prison. I know that for sure.
100,000?
Over $100,000.
For what? For the whole time that he's there?
No.
That he or she is there?
A year.
For a year.
A year.
So you're talking about $100,000 a year for someone who shouldn't have been getting a 30-year life sentence for the rest of his life sentence.
Exactly.
$100,000 a year.
Over $100,000 a year, and they will not give a child $6,000 to go to school.
Okay. Wow. Now, how are you expected now to move on? What does your parole officer say? Is he going to help you with employment, housing, anything of that nature?
Well, see, before I came out, I had employment. I had a job, but it took so long that the person that had the job for me had to let go.
Okay.
Because they were holding the job for me, which was my sister. She wanted me to do maintenance.
Maintenance.
Right.
Is that what you did before you went to prison?
Right. I did general construction. I worked in houses and stuff like that. So,
well, you got a lot of catching up to do.
I got a lot of catching up to do.
A lot of the stuff don't use flux anymore.
And you're right, because I was watching. Yes, I was looking at some things. Oh my God!
Yeah. There's actually sharks now, so you don't even do soldering anymore.
No,
very little.
And you're right.
So you have to catching up to do there.
Yeah.
Okay. And as a felon, you can't take a government job.
I don't think I can take a government job. I'm not sure, but I don't think, because I have a felony, and that's where it comes in. If it's a misdemeanor, yes, but not a felony.
Okay. So on all these obstacles, how you're seeing the light? Because well, thank God first of all that you're out.
Thank you.
The family members, when you got uh, your commutation, were they notified? The one of the gentleman
Yeah,
that died,
they always notify the victim
right?
all the time. If the victim say no, you ain't getting out. But if the victim say okay or I don't care, you know, then you get an opportunity.
So the victim's family has a say,
I say yes,
an
they do.
opinion,
Yes,
an
yes,
opinion, and that's their opinion is what helps decide with the board whether or not
right,
he or she gets out.
right. The majority of the time, the victim's family always say yes and try to help the person. And they say that was 30, 40 years ago. See, because 30 years is a lot. I did 30 years, but I know people that did 48 years. I know people that did 50 years.
And there's a lot of people that have died in prison.
It's a lot of
waiting
people that
for
have
their
died in
shot.
prison, right? It was a guy
Okay.
that just came out not too long ago. He did over 50 years. So yes, that's the way the system runs.
Okay, let me ask you this. Is there some kind of agreement with Pennsylvania on the cost or who makes money from people in prison?
I really don't know how that works.
And there's private companies. I'm looking at something that said here. It's a contract prison. Contract prison have private companies that make money from inmates
They do.
being incarcerated.
They do have private companies, private prisons, and they are very harsh. You know, you don't get everything. I heard stories. And people say that they treat you bad, they treat you different than a state penitentiary. You know, so yes, they do have them. They do have them.
Okay. Wow. This is incredible that we're discussing this. So, in the start with this whole thing in prison, there's so many loopholes and so many things you got to jump over just to get your paperwork in. Is there any private organizations or groups that try to help you guys financially through this process?
No. In prison, you start at 17 cents an hour, and you can go as high as 42 cents an hour. And that's all you get. And the majority of the time, you're getting 6 hours a day. So I'm not good with math, but you can do that math or not. You know,
17 cents an hour, 6 hours a day.
17 cents.
That's a lot of hours to put in to get $25.
Exactly. And just like you say, $25 in prison is like $25,000. You know, you have to know how to budget it.
Okay. All right. So you, but if people wanted to, they could put the family members ought to put money on your books, and you can use that to.
Yes. Your family can help you. Friends can help you. Yes. So they can send you money if they can and they want to. They can send you money anytime.
This organization,
LASEO.
LASEO,
Yes.
they helped you get this paperwork together, right?
Right. They help, and not just that, because they the only organization that sell ice cream inside the prison. So what?
So what?
Ice cream.
Ice cream?
Ice cream, because you can't get ice cream in the prison.
LASALE is that they have a contract to sell ice cream in the prison.
Exactly. That's what they do. That's how they make their money to donate, to give out for scholarships, to help the community. Because this is an organization that gets money out here. So they send the money out here. Like before we were doing with Leslie Acosta, what we did is we send her the scholarship money for that kid that was in need of a scholarship because he didn't have a father or his father was in prison. So he needed to buy some books or clothes to go to school. So that's what we did.
You in prison
Right.
making $17 an hour. I mean,
No.
17 cents an hour.
Okay, see.
You guys in prison were sending your money to help children of other people in prison make sure they got books and stuff in school.
Yes, that's what we was doing. So we take out a percentage and send it to the kids, and bought kids books, clothes, shoes, whatever they needed for to go to school.
My God, this this is unbelievable. This is truly unbelievable. Now, and I keep going around it because I'm trying to wrap my own head around all this. When you're out now, obviously, I believe that you're going to do everything you can to support the prisoners, people in prison.
Of course.
Okay. Did you ever think about starting a private organization out here to start raising money to help the Hispanics in prison?
Well,
Are you allowed to do that, first of all?
well, yes, I don't know if I'm allowed, but I know.
Let me actually ask that question.
Yes, I don't know if I'm allowed, but what I did have in mind is that I work with this ministry, right? And what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a extension to the ministry that is called phone counseling, because a lot of people sometimes they going through and they don't have nobody to talk to. So we're gonna hook up this phone so they can call, and then we're gonna advise them and talk to them, and they can call and say, like, if they're talking about hanging up or whatever, they can call and say, look, I want to hang up, and then we can talk to them and say, don't do it, or why you shouldn't do it. You know, so it's going to be a phone counseling ministry. We do have
To help the people in prison
to help people in prison
who want to hang it up. When you say hang it up,
Yeah.
you mean
hang up, choke themselves,
choke themselves,
kill
commit suicide.
commit suicide. See, let me tell you one.
What's the prison rate for Hispanics committing suicide? Do you know? You were there for 30 years.
Yeah, it's high.
You know that it's high for the
Yes, it's
people,
not
the
just
Hispanics?
Hispanic. It's high in
in
total.
general.
Yes, like I'll be honest with you. When I was in there, it was times that I wanted to hang up because I was in there serving the time for a crime that I didn't commit. Right. So it will hurt me. It will bother me. You know that I was in prison for something I ain't did. You know, and 2 times I asked governor to exchange my license into death row. I asked the one before Governor Wolf, Rendell,
Yeah.
and I asked Governor Wolf, and Governor Wolf said you have a good record. Work with union manager, and then we work towards compensation. And he fulfilled his word. Rendell, sadly, he didn't. He left office and never signed my
Never followed
application.
up.
Right. So I appreciate Wolf for that because he did fulfill his word. And a lot of people, yes, a lot of people hang themselves. You know.
What do you think? We're gonna get ready to take another break in a couple minutes, but when we come back after this break, I want you to tell the audience, the people out there, what do you think is lacking? What do you think would be the best way for people out here to try to start supporting? What organizations? What needs to be done? What can we do to start the movement to help people out here? I mean, and I think that that's important. So we're going to go on our last break, and then when we come back, we're going to talk to Francisco what he feels that we can do out here to help. You either love the show, hate the show, love me, hate me, doesn't matter, but it's the show you want to watch. 1 Hour with Dave. But that he was unfairly sentenced for the crime itself. But now we've gone a little further, and we're talking to Francisco, who served 30 years, to ask him what is it that he thinks is lacking for us. One is, of course, we got to get to the attention of everyone of the unfair just in the system, because let's all give Governor Wolf his props, because he did help Francisco even when Francisco was thinking about hanging it all up.
Yeah.
His wife stood beside him, which is another rare situation. Now Francisco is in a place where he's challenged on how to move forward. One is that he's got 30 years to make up for on technology. The other one is, what does Francisco need to do and how he can move forward? And other people that's in Francisco's shoes now who make it out. I'm sure that if you're from another race, there's probably a lot of organizations out there that are helping you. But we as Hispanics, I keep saying, need to get our act together. Act together very, very fast. Because it's our fault. What's happening is our fault. We're letting it happen. You can't blame the system. You can't blame the government. You can't blame anything, because we're allowing it. There's a lot of Christians out there in churches that, your responsibility is to help. So we're not going to play this blame game and say the white guy or this guy or whatever is our fault. As a group, we need to get our act together. Francisco, what do you think should be happening so that we can get more help to individuals, that we can fight more for individuals like you?
Yeah, I think number one, all state reps, especially the Latino ones, they should get involved in the criminal justice system. So they stop giving all this time to these Latinos, that it's unjust. I'm not saying that I'm innocent. I'm saying that they gave me too much time. If they would have gave me 10 to 20, I would have said, praise the Lord, thank you, I was wrong. I deserve that. But they gave me a life sentence to die in prison without the possibility of parole. Now we need to get all the state reps over here, get them involved so they can start changing all this system. Because we got a lot of Latinos in there that got the same time that I got. They got life without the possibility of parole for just being with the trigger man, So the second thing, you say a lot of churches. I'm an ordained minister, so I haven't seen them around. I don't know. They're in a box somewhere hiding, They should be on the streets, cleaning the streets, talking to the kids, talking to the young generation, And I believe we also should make some kind of centers so the kids can go there and play or study or do something, Because I remember when I was a kid, there was a lot of centers, and we was allowed to go there, play basketball or play with the computers or play with the other guys, the girls, But, it was centers that you can go to. I don't see that around, So I think that's what is lacking around here on these days.
Okay, now to get the help to the people in prison, what do you think needs to happen?
That's another thing. I believe that state reps should be involved and go up there and visit them, talk to them, hear them.
In your travel, in your work efforts in the prison, you only been out for 2 months. We had Angel Cruz. Did you hear from him?
Angel Cruz went one time, and I asked him something, and he told me he was going to check into it. I never heard from him again.
Okay. And then we got Danilo Burgos. And let me tell you something. Danilo Burgos is to be respected. I respect him.
Right.
He fairly does and tries to keep his word on what he needs to do. Okay? I'm saying it now to everybody.
Right.
Danilo Burgos is a true person. I have never had anything bad to say about him because he's always kept his word with me as a friend. And we're from two different parties. And I'm telling you, that man is fair. So I'm going to reach out to Danielle Um, Angel made you one visit in 30 years and one promise, and that was it.
And that's it. Never fulfilled.
And Angel's been there for a long time.
Yeah.
Angel's been there for a long time.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, if this came to the plate of a friend of mine's, Ralph Acosta,
Hmm.
he would have done everything he needed to do
Yeah.
and turned over every rock he needed to turn over
Yeah.
to make sure this situation was fairly taken care of. That's one man also that I can tell you,
Yeah.
as a state rep, was an incredible individual. And I regret that he's not there now. Because I'm gonna tell you, if he took plight in what happened to you, you would not spend 30
Yeah.
years in it.
It
And a
was
lot of
a it
people,
was a state rep. I don't remember his name, but I think it's the one you mentioned. I think he was getting ready to go up there, and because I remember Jorge Cintron was telling me that he was going to bring a state rep up there. He's part of LASEO, and the pandemic hit. So
yeah,
when the pandemic hit, they was not allowed to bring people in. But I think it was the guy that you just
Daniel
mentioned.
Burgos.
Yeah, I think it was Daniel
He,
Bugo.
he is an incredible
Yeah.
individual. He is. I mean, I vote for the guy,
Yeah.
and not
Yeah.
from the other party. Okay. He's a good man. He really is. Leslie, she was in office.
Leslie was fighting,
An
man.
incredible fighter, and an incredible person.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll go with her anywhere
Yeah.
because I'll tell you, she'll throw as many punches as I would.
I know she
Probably
would.
more.
Yeah, I know she would. I know. Believe me, I know. I've
I
seen
mean,
her fighting.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
an incredibly powerful woman.
Yeah.
One of the most powerful Hispanic women, I think, to stand her ground that I've ever met. And
Yeah.
I've met quite a few of them here.
Yeah.
Leslie is definitely one of the best. So where do we go from here, Francisco? I want to try to contact some of these organizations. I want to reach out to LASEO.
Hmm.
I'm going to reach out to Burgos. Okay? Maybe in one of these, we'll bring you back to talk about some of the things.
Okay.
Pastors and ministers, do you think we need to? There's a
think we
Pastor
should.
McGee. Um, um, she's an incredible woman and a good pastor, Pentecostal pastor. Maggie. And if she caught plight of this, she would be one that we fighting too. Incredible woman. There's a few people that we need to start reaching out to.
Yeah.
And maybe I can tell you that I myself, I'm going to follow up on this and we'll have another visit here to bring you up to date on what's happening when it comes to availability. Because I think that there's an incredible lack of support for people while they're in. And then when they come out, there's an incredible lack of support and structure for them to be able to do something and get their lives together out here. Because, I mean, you're a pastor, you're an ordained pastor, and I don't know what church you're going to now.
I'm Pentecostal, yeah. I haven't had time yet. I went to one service, and I'm going to one this Saturday, but because the pandemic.
Where do you live at?
I still in the halfway house.
Yeah, no. Where's that again? A Street?
Yeah, 8th and 407 North 8th Street.
There's two churches that I can tell you. Obviously, Pastor Maggie's, which is on the boulevard, but down here on 5th and Huntington, right up the street from here, the pastor there, she's an incredible person.
Okay.
And she's heavy involved in the church and in the community. You may want to pay that church a visit.
Okay.
In the light ministry is another one that you can pay. But close to you here, I would say visit that church.
Okay.
On 5th and Huntington. You will get support there.
Okay.
She's an incredible church and person. We need to reach out, people. We need to get ourselves together and talk about what we need to do to be able to push this issue forward. politically, um, as a community, as caring people. It's another stroke of us having him here to show that, man, we got to get our act together as a race. I think we're about to end. So I want to thank you, Francisco, for coming on. And I want to thank the audience out there. I want to thank individuals. And I hope that this message gets out to as many people as possible.
Yes.
So God bless you. Take care. As always, I love you people. I love my people out there. Let's get our act together. Latinos, we have to get our act together. God bless you. Peace.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to An Hour with Dave, a straight shooting talk show that doesn't hold anything back. You either love the show, hate the show, love me, hate me, doesn't matter, but it's the show you want to watch. 1 Hour with Dave.